All right, go to ChatGPT right now and ask it to recommend a business in your niche in your city. Go ahead, I'll wait. Well, not really, just pause the video. But if your business didn't show up, you have a problem. And it's not the problem you think it is. Most people assume these AI models have some kind of internal database with your business stored in it. I'm telling you, they don't. When you ask ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok or Claude or any of the tools for a local recommendation, it's going to search the web in real time and build an answer from whatever it finds. Reddit threads, forum posts, Medium articles, review sites, your own website. And here's what most people don't realize. The AI has no concept of how old that content is. A complaint from 2019 carries the same weight as a 5-star review from last week. So the question isn't whether your business is in the AI. The question is, what does the AI find when it goes looking for you? And for most local businesses, the answer is almost nothing, which means the AI is either ignoring you completely or building its answer from content you didn't create and you don't control. Now think about why the AI has to search at all. If you go to ChatGPT and ask it who Elon Musk is, there's no web search, there's no pulling from random sources, it knows. That information is baked into the model's training data, so the AI doesn't need to go find it. It generates the answer from memory. Now that difference is everything. And right now, pretty much every local business is in the first category. The AI doesn't know you exist, so it searches the web and builds an answer from whatever it happens to find. But what if your business had enough high-quality content across the internet that the AI actually absorbed during its training? It wouldn't need to search anymore. It would just know you. It would know your business. You'd go from being something the AI has to look up and guess to being something the AI recommends from memory. I'm Caleb Elku. I started my SEO agency back in 2016 and built it to 7 figures in 3 years. And I want to talk about a study from Anthropic. That's the team that builds Claude. They just proved that the number of documents it takes to get into an AI training data and change its behavior, that's the important part, is way lower than anyone expected. It's 250 documents. That's it. So in this video, I'm going to show you 2 main things. First, a prompt that audits what the AI models currently find when they go searching for your brand. And second, a framework that I'm calling the 250 Authority Protocol that's designed to build the kind of content footprint that doesn't just influence what the AI finds, it gets your brand into the AI's memory permanently. But first, you need to understand exactly how small the gap is between being invisible to these models and being baked into them. Most people assume that because these models are basically trained on the entire internet, no single business could ever meaningfully influence them, that you'd need millions of pages to even register. Anthropic, the team behind Claude, partnered with the UK AI Security Institute, the Alan Turing Institute, to find out exactly how much data it actually takes to change a model's behavior. And the answer should make every single business owner pay attention. It's 0.00016 of the total training data. If you have a library with 1 million books, it's changing a single paragraph in 2 of them. In real numbers, it's 250 documents. The researchers inserted 250 specific files into the training data of models ranging from 600 million parameters to 13 billion. And here's what surprised them. They expected the bigger models to be harder to influence. They thought that 250 documents would get diluted in all that extra data. They didn't. 250 documents changed the behavior of the small model, and the exact same 250 documents changed the behavior of the massive model. The defenses don't scale. Now, I want to be honest with you. This study tested a specific trigger mechanism. It wasn't testing brand influence directly, and there are real barriers between publishing content online and having it actually make it into a model's next training run. Quality filters, deduplication, and all of that, but the principle is clear. These models learn from patterns and data, and the threshold for establishing a pattern is way lower than anyone assumed. If 250 documents can teach a model a behavior it was never supposed to learn, the question becomes, what could 250 pieces of content, high authority content about your brand teach the models? We're going to come back to that number, but right now I want to show you something more immediate, because even before you start building toward the training data, you need to see what these AI models are currently finding when someone asks about your business. So right now, when someone asks an AI about your business, it goes searching the web and it builds this answer from whatever it finds. And I can tell you from running this for my own agency and my clients, what it finds is almost never what you want it to say. LLMs, these AI models, they pull heavily from Reddit, forums, Medium, and review sites because that content feels authentic to them, but they have no concept of time. A complaint from a disgruntled employee in 2019 carries the same weight as a genuine 5-star review from yesterday. A random forum post where someone misspelled your business name and said you were overpriced, that's shaping what the AI tells your future customers. Most business owners have no idea this is happening. They're checking their Google rankings, they're monitoring their reviews, but no one is checking what ChatGPT or Claude says when a potential customer asks about them. So I built a prompt for this. I call it the Model Training Data Risk Auditor. I use this for my own agency and for my clients, and it does something simple but powerful. It forces the AI to go find the actual conversations happening about your brand across Reddit, forums, Medium, and review sites. Then it surfaces the pattern. Let me show you that prompt. It's available in my school community. I'm going to show it on screen. You can pause and grab it or join the community. It's in the link below. So I'm going to come into the classroom and then the prompt catalog. That's where it lives. And it is right here under ChatGPT LLM optimization, model training, data risk, auto hunter. So we'll grab it. And again, you can slow down, you can pause to grab the prompt yourself. And we'll come on over and I'm going to look for a business to run this for. So I love searching for Gary, Indiana. I don't live in Gary, Indiana, but it's a great example for just like a normal mid-sized Midwestern city. It's an example I use all the time. Kind of hoping that the Chicago Bears get renamed the Gary Bears because that's fabulous. Anyway, plumber, Gary, Indiana. Let's see what we can find. Let's use AJ's Plumbing and Sewer. Not a great review profile. AJ has some work to do, but let's go ahead and use that. We'll come on over to Claude. And here's the prompt. I filled in, I left competitor blank. That was optional. I filled in AJ's Plumbing and Sewer and Gary, Indiana. And here is what Claude generated. The raw sentiment snapshot, moderately positive but thin, invisibility, reputation patterns, it gives this, positive patterns, competitive differentiators, and the AI summary test. Here's the summary of what AI would generate. Limited online review volume, narrative vulnerabilities, vulnerability 2, 3, and then here are some action items, the top 3 priorities. And here's the platform by platform summary for all the different platforms that this AI prompt went out and checked. And we have the key competitor landscape, who is AJ's competing with, and what do theirs look like. Now, I ran this for a client last month, and I found a 4-year-old Reddit thread where someone complained about response time. Now, since then, the business has completely overhauled their operations. Didn't matter. The AI didn't know, AI didn't care. The AI was still surfacing that thread as if the complaint happened yesterday. So grab the prompt, run it for your own business and for your clients. What it's going to give you is the raw picture of what AI models are currently working with, and more importantly, specific action items so that you can fix what's broken. But finding the problems, that's just defense. Once you know the gaps, you need to fill them. And this is where the second prompt comes in, the 250 authority protocol, because we're not just trying to fix what the AI finds. We're trying to build enough of a content footprint that your brand becomes a permanent part of the AI's memory. And here's what most people get wrong about AI and content. They think about it the same way that they think about Google. Write a blog post, optimize it, hope it ranks. But AI models don't work like Google. Google ranks individual pages. Google ranks your GBP. AI models learn patterns across the internet internet. When an AI is deciding what to believe about a topic, it's not looking at one page. It's looking for consensus. Does the same information show up across multiple trusted sources in multiple formats from multiple perspectives? If it does, the AI treats it as a high confidence fact. If it only shows up in one place, it gets ignored or diluted by whatever else is out there. This is why one great blog post or 10 great blog posts on your website don't move the needle with AI. And it's also why 250 identical blog posts won't work either. AI systems are built to detect and discount echo chambers. So if all 250 documents say the same thing in the same way on the same domain, the AI sees that as one source. What you need is diversity. The same core expertise expressed across different formats, different platforms, different angles. That's what creates the pattern for AI to learn from. That's what builds consensus. So here's how the 250 authority protocol works in practice. And I want to be clear, the number 250 comes directly from that Anthropic study. It's the threshold that they showed was able to establish a pattern in models up to 13 billion parameters. We're going to use that as our benchmark. So your 250 documents need to be spread across at least 4 types of content in 4 different environments. The first bucket is your own content. These are case studies, service deep dives, data-driven articles on your own website. This is your foundation. This is the content that establishes what you actually do with real numbers and real results. If you're a plumber in Gary, I don't want a generic page about water heater repair. I want the case study where you replace 14 water heaters in a specific neighborhood last summer and cut the average install time by 2 hours. Specifics are what separates content the AI trusts from content it ignores. The second bucket is professional platforms. This is LinkedIn articles, industry publications, guest posts on niche sites. This is your external authority. When the AI sees your expertise on your own site and on LinkedIn and on an industry blog, it starts to triangulate. It sees the same person saying the same thing in different places, and that builds trust. The third bucket is community content. Reddit comments, Quora answers, forum posts, niche discussion boards. This is the content that AI models lean on the hardest for local and service-based queries because it feels like real people talking. Sometimes I feel like ChatGPT spends all of its time on Reddit. And right now, this is the bucket where most businesses have zero presence. I just said ChatGPT spends all of its time on Reddit, but your competitors, they might have a strong website, but they're not showing up on Reddit. If you are showing up on Reddit, giving threads that are helpful, specific advice about plumbing in the Gary, Indiana area, that's the content that AI is going to wait when someone asks for a recommendation. All right, in the fourth bucket, this is third-party validation. Press mentions, Chamber of Commerce listings, local sponsorships, industry directories. This is the content that you don't write yourself, and that's exactly why the AI values it. When other sources confirm what your own content says, that closes the loop. The AI sees the pattern from every angle. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that if you publish 250 pieces of content, you're guaranteed to end up in the next version of ChatGPT's training data. There are, of course, quality filters, deduplication systems, and a billion other documents competing for space. But here's what I do know. That Anthropic study showed the threshold is low. And whether the AI is searching the web in real time or pulling from its own trading data, the mechanism is the same. It's looking for pattern, it's looking for consensus. 250 pieces of diverse, high-quality content creates exactly what the AI systems are looking for. So let me show you a second prompt. This prompt is going to help you plan this out. It takes your core expertise and generates specific angles, topics, and platforms for your 250 pieces of content. I'm going to show it on the screen now. You can grab it from my school community. There's a link in the description. So here it is, 250 authority content protocol. We're first starting by telling you how to actually use it. Then the prompt itself, I'll go ahead and copy this. And as before, we'll run this for AJ's Plumbing in Gary. And here's the content matrix that it came up with. So you can see it's recommending the right angle, the platform, the headline, the sentence, the tone, the length. And it keeps going down, recommending all of these different articles. The key here is not to write all 250 at once. Don't do all of this tomorrow. You're going to run the prompt. You're going to get your first batch of angles. You produce that content, then shift your focus slightly. If you started with Plumber Gary, then maybe you shift over to emergency pipe repair or water heater installation, main drain line replacement, and expand from there. Each batch builds on the last one and the content footprint grows. But here's the thing nobody's talking about. Producing 250 pieces of content sounds like a 6-month project. It doesn't have to be. 3 years ago, producing 250 pieces of quality content would have cost you somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 in writer fees. or it would have cost you 6 months of your life if you did it all yourself. That, of course, was before AI-assisted writing. In my agency, we primarily use Claude for content generation, and in head-to-head tests against ChatGPT, Claude consistently produces content that scores higher on helpfulness, reads more naturally, and passes AI detection at a higher rate. But the AI isn't doing this alone. We run a multi-step process to generate the highest content quality possible. So the first step, we're going to use the 250 authority protocol prompt to generate the topical map. That gives us every angle, every platform, every format that we need to cover. The planning that used to take a week, we can now do with a couple of prompt runs. The second step, we're going to use Claude to give us an outline for the content. And this is where most people mess up. They're going to go into ChatGPT or Claude and just say, hey, write a blog post about water heater repair, and get exactly what you would expect. Generic content that sounds exactly like every other AI generated page on the internet. That's useless. The AI models are going to catch it, they're not going to trust it, and more importantly, readers won't believe it, they'll catch it. So instead, we start by generating the outline first. Based on information available online, what people are asking about from your area, real world people, what they're saying on Reddit. The Google people also ask questions, and hyper local details about where your business is located. Then we actually use a long writing prompt to specify the exact structure, the audience, how we want it formatted. This is the kind of specificity that both Google and the AI models reward. And the last step here, do not skip this. A human editor reviews every single piece before it goes live. AI makes errors. It hallucinates the details. Especially for high-ticket services like a water heater replacement, legal or medical, a wrong number or a made-up regulation can destroy your credibility. A few minutes of human review per piece is the difference between content that builds trust and content that undermines it. With this process, my agency can produce a full batch of 30 to 40 pieces in a few hours. That means the entire 250-piece protocol can be executed in a month or two without burning out a single person on your team. Now, I want to zoom out for a second because this isn't just a content strategy. This is a positioning shift for your agency. Every local client you have right now is going to be represented in AI by whatever random content happens to exist about them online. Most of them have never even thought about what ChatGPT says when someone asks for a recommendation for the best plumber in Gary. That's a gap you can fill. You're not just going to be selling SEO anymore. You're going to be selling AI presence. This is the future. You're the person who makes sure that when the next version of these models gets trained, or when the current version searches the web, your client is the answer. Google spent 20 years building systems to evaluate content quality. AI companies are 3 years into this process. Right now, there's a window where consistent, high-quality content can establish your brand in places that will be much harder to break into later. This window won't stay open forever. And if you want to see the exact Claude workflow my agency uses to produce this content at scale, including the specific prompts, the process, the quality checks, I break all of that down in this next video right here.